You are tuned in to Traders Nation. My pleasure to have with us here Dr. Robert Melamede, President and CEO of Cannabis Science Incorporated, OTCBB symbol CBIS. That's Charlie Bravo International Sam. Dr. Bob, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, good. Doctor, can you give us a brief overview of Cannabis Science? What do you guys do over there?
Well, Cannabis Science is a company founded by cannabis medical users. And in addition to myself being a medical user, I'm also a scientist. I even teach a course called Endocannabinoids and Medical Marijuana at the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs, where I'm a professor. So we have a unique overview of how marijuana, medical cannabis works in the human body, the nature of really the very unique role of this drug as opposed to all other drugs.
Sure.
Because of the fact that we make marijuana-like compounds, and these compounds literally interact and regulate everything in our body, meaning our immune system, digestive system, cardiovascular system, reproductive system. All of our body systems are regulated by endocannabinoids, and they're regulated in a way that helps in most cases to protect them. We're really talking about an anti-aging drug.
Okay, sure. You know, listen, medical marijuana, it's not new. People have been using it for thousands and thousands of years, and in recent history, too, for medical purposes like cancer, et cetera. Where do you see this going to?
Well, cancer is a complicated illness, but there's a lot of evidence now, some of which is anecdotal, but I have hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific articles that explain and show that cannabis and some of the analogs that have been developed chemically, that are patentable, that these different kinds of cannabinoid compounds have cancer-killing properties as well as anti-metastatic properties. They actually help prevent cancers from spreading while at the same time helping to kill them. So we don't have clinical trials done with marijuana per se because pharmaceutical companies don't want to do that because they don't have patents on it.
I see. All right. So where do we see medical cannabis going? Because let's face it, it's become popular lately. It's getting a lot of media attention. You look in case in point, Colorado, your state, D.C. just lifted a ban. Where is medical cannabis going?
Medical cannabis is only going to expand because of the fact that I just described the endocannabinoid system acting as an anti-aging drug. What that essentially means is it helps prevent age-related illnesses. And today it's those age-related illnesses like cardiovascular disease, neurological dysfunction like Alzheimer's, autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis and diabetes, as well as cancer. These are all inhibited to varying degrees and with varying lines of evidence by marijuana-like compounds, be they the ones we make, the endocannabinoids, or the ones the plant makes, the phytocannabinoids.
Right.
And because of our unique understanding of the living system and the role played by the endocannabinoid system, we have unique targets and ways of approaching how we can benefit people through this drug. And that's in line with what people are finding out. That's why we have this explosion. There's an explosion of scientific literature, and there's an explosion of people using it and finding the benefits of it.
Sure. Now, the Internet, very popular. A lot of information is being passed along there. Should people be careful of what they read about? Is there disinformation out there, I guess is my point, versus good information? Where could someone get good information if they want more information, not only on your company, Cannabis Science, but also medical cannabis?
Well, the best sources are the real scientific sources. So if people, are educated enough to have that understanding, that's where the reality is.
Right.
On the other hand, the most disinformation really comes from people who are prohibitionists, people like law enforcement and various governmental agencies that are, at this point, really benefiting from prohibition and are willing to sacrifice health and, and the future, really, of our country in many respects because of the critical costs of healthcare right now. We could eliminate so much of those costs if people were benefiting from the medical and basic health benefits provided by marijuana in particular and from the kinds of products that we're developing.
It's amazing. A lot of people don't know this, but cannabis actually was legal up to about a century ago until Prohibition came in, kicked it out. The
1937, I think it was. It was legal until then.
Sure.
When other drugs were made illegal, cannabis was not, and that's true from our narcotics and opiates in general and cocaine as well as alcohol. They all went through, and most of them still are, fully prohibited. It wasn't until later on, probably for a lot of the wrong reasons, that cannabis was made illegal.
Sure. All right. So a lot of states right now considering lifting that ban. We saw D.C. as a city lifting the ban. Colorado lift the ban. California, they need tax money over there, and that's my question. Do you see this trend to continue? They need the tax revenue. And let's face it, would you rather keep the money here in the United States versus send it down to Mexico to some cartel?
Well, the issue, I think, goes beyond the money. The issue really is one of health. Yeah. And as people find out the benefits of this, I mean, look at pain users, for example. We have these veterans coming back from Iraq, suffering from traumatic head injuries, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and what the Veteran Administration does is, do you need more narcotics? We'll give you more narcotics. Well, that's an unsatisfactory solution for people who are going to be suffering a lifetime of pain. Sure. Narcotics are good for acute pain. Cannabis is good for chronic pain. Right. So we have to turn things around, and the people are discovering this through word of mouth, through seeing the benefits that their loved ones and their family members get. We at Cannabis Science 100% support the legalization of cannabis, and we also know that there's always going to be a subset of people who want to go to the doctor, get a prescription, go to the pharmacy, get an FDA-approved drug, and have it covered by health care. Well, and that's who we're targeting.
Well, let's talk about that, because let's face it, cannabis comes from the earth. How more natural can you get than that? I mean, seriously, we think about this, it comes from the earth. Mother Earth versus a pharmaceutical, which is, they're okay, they have their purpose, but cannabis does also.
I agree 100%. And see, that's the thing. Typically, people go and get various pharmaceuticals, and then they have to take another pharmaceutical to counteract the side effects, and you have people taking like a chain of medicines for one illness because of the problems caused by the medicines that they're taking. Now, contrast that with cannabis, because remember, we have an endocannabinoid system regulating everything. Right. With cannabis, you take one drug for many illnesses. It's the exact opposite. And it's also, as determined by a federal judge, one of the safest therapeutic substances known to man.
All right, so where do you see growth as far as cannabis science is concerned, let's say by the end of this year all the way up into the first of next year?
Well, we have a lot of novel things that we haven't really publicly released yet, so this will be we kind of hinted at them, and this is still only going to be a hint. Sure. But we have a number of potential over-the-counter medicines. Well, you can't call them medicines, nutraceutical, health-promoting foodstuffs, essentially. Right. That's how they are classified, that we're going to be able to pursue, as well as our FDA medicines, as well as some other routes. I think we recently did announce that we have some interest in veterinarian markets. So there are so many opportunities for us that it's a matter of really cherry-picking the ones that we feel are going to be the best, not only for our investors, but for people in general to benefit from.
All right, let's talk about competitors. We all have them, but let's face it, you are an emerging market. What about competitors out there?
Well, in the U.S., really, as far as a U.S. company, we're really the only pharmaceutical company that's on the market. There are other people typically developing synthetics, a few of them, as well as Big Pharma, but we're unique in that we're a U.S. company that's targeting extracts. And there's a lot of benefits to that because the plant provides a whole host of important biological molecules, of which the psychoactive THC is only one. That's why there's so much strain variability that's been selected for by people who are using medical cannabis, because as you tweak the ratios of all of these different compounds, you find that there are different effects and different benefits for different illnesses. So being medical marijuana patients and being acutely aware of these things, we will be and are working with the medical marijuana community to really identify and optimize the kinds of solutions that are needed today.
All right, so what makes cannabis science a good investment? It seems to me you're merging out there, you're going to be growing out there. What makes you a good investment?
Well, basically, we have so many different illnesses that we can treat as we go through the FDA. That's why we need investments, so that we can have the money to carry out these very important regulatory concerns, so that we can bring these things to the market to people, so that anybody in any state could get what they need.
Doctor, where can listeners and viewers get more information on cannabis science? Do you guys have a website?
Yes, we have a website. It's CannabisScience.com, and there's lots on there and more coming.
Okay, all right, and they can get some information, you get reports, things like that on cannabis?
Yes, there's all sorts of, and we're going to be developing a much more informative website for people who are interested in medical and scientific aspects of cannabis science.
All right, today we have Dr. Robert Melamede. He's president and CEO of Cannabis Science Incorporated, OTCBB symbol CBIS. That's Charlie Bravo International Sam. Once again, that's Cannabis Science Incorporated, OTCBB symbol CBIS, Charlie Bravo International Sam. Doctor, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You're more than welcome. All right, head on over to CannabisScience.com today. Check out all that information you can get. Cannabis Science. You are tuned in to Trace Nation, and of course, we will be right back.